Okay, good evening. Today is August 9th, 6 p.m. We are about to start our TAPS meeting for today. The agenda was posted online on last Friday, and I would request that our chair bring us through the Pledge of Allegiance for this meeting. Next slide, please. To the United States of America, to the republic which
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
is
for all.
Thank you. I would move on to item number 2, roll call. Committee members Doyle,
Here.
Chair Dunham Sims,
Present.
Vice Chair Moriarty,
I'm here.
Member Collins.
Present.
Thank you. Moving on to next item. Item number 3, approval of minutes for July 12th, 2023. If you have any comments on the minutes of meetings, please let me know, which we can amend, or if it is ready to approve, please the committee members can make a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I second.
Okay. Roll call. Member Doyle,
Aye.
Member Dunham Sims,
Aye.
Member Moriarty,
Approve?
Member Collins.
Aye.
Thank you. Minutes approved for July 12, 2023. Item number 4, committee member reports. If any of the committee member has any reports to the committee, they can provide it right now. Thank you.
I had one report, I guess. I'm Pinole's member of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority Citizen Advisory Committee. And what's going on now is every month, typically a couple of cities are coming in to present their growth management plan checklist. And last time it was the city of San Ramon. And I just noticed something unique. They'd mentioned that they have a residential traffic calming handbook, which it just caught my attention because it seems like so often at these meetings we're talking about traffic calming. And I assume other cities, that's kind of the main traffic concern other cities are dealing with. And I'd never heard of a city that had a traffic calming handbook. And it wasn't something like a specific plan, like our local road safety plan that says the consultant proposes doing X on a certain street. It was more general. It was just a guidebook that citizens could go to when they have concerns about when there's a need for traffic calming. And I don't know if there's anything for us to do with it. I just thought it was so appropriate for what we talk about a lot and seemed kind of useful, so I thought I'd mention it here.
Well, when we started this committee, we did have a handbook. There was one established.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what has become of it, but that was one of the first things we did.
So the city of Pinole has a,
Traffic and Pedestrian Safety Committee handbook, yeah, which included all the criteria for traffic calming measures.
oh,
Yes, just to reiterate that the City of Pinole neighborhood traffic calming policy was actually adopted in 2018. That's on our website.
okay.
And that's, sometimes I advise when people ask about the humps, a speed hump and all that. So that is where I get my details. So there is a policy how to apply for, how many signatures to get, and all that is part of that book.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
So,
maybe we
but
should
you-
all review it.
Yeah. No, I mean, what would be a good thought if the committee members wishes to review that and update that, then we can go ahead and advise the city council if you haven't wanted to make any update to that. So, is
Okay.
that-
Could we add the directions to that in the minutes?
yes. So in the minutes, you want to say that committee will review the traffic calming policy and advise any updates?
Or more like the web address to get to it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could add that web address to the each agenda items every time I produce, as we do. That should be fine too. I can do that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we could look at it, and if,
Yeah.
on our own time, and if it seems like it's fine the way it is, or if somebody comes back and feels like it could be updated, they could propose we work on it. And this is what you're talking about, right, Faith? This thing he's looking at?
Yeah, and I'm not. Well, the one that Sanjay is referring to, he said was adopted in 2018.
2018, yes.
Yeah, there was one we did, was like 2008 or some such thing, and whether or not it ever was on the website,
Oh, I see.
I could not tell you, but Anna might be able to tell us
Okay,
that.
okay. I will verify that with Anna. Okay. Any other members have any reports?
Yes, I have one, and I just want to remind everybody in the community that schools will be starting on the 15th, Tuesday the 15th, and just remind everybody to be careful and drive safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Any reports?
Yeah, I walked here, as you guys noticed, and I just thought I'd report that the sidewalks on 4th Street, the block closest to San Pablo Avenue, are discontiguous, and even where they do exist, they're impassable in most places. So you have to walk in the street to get down that street. And I noticed there's kids, a lot of kids living on the street, and there's a bar which has adults exiting like kids on the street. So probably walking in the middle of it is not good.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 5, citizens to be heard. We have one card from Andrew Uch. Did I pronounce it right? Go ahead.
Traffic safety, but is there any like plans to actually build like bike lanes or investment in public or active transportation? Because the fundamental issues we face here of traffic safety is fundamentally cars. I mean, the most deaths caused here in America is cars. Every day there's a traffic on a highway due to cars. And one way we could reduce, fatalities and accidents is reducing car use. Maybe driving 2 miles is probably not the most efficient way usually. I mean, it is, but that's because it's the only option. And so are there any plans in place to actually build up bike infrastructure? I mean, we do sort of have, I don't even want to say bike network. I mean, we have like a bike painted lane, but no one's really going to use that except people who take cycling seriously, like who want to do the, as a sport. We're already crazy enough to bike. So I'm just curious about that, because I looked on the website and it's hard to find any plans about it. So yeah, that's all for my comment.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to respond or give some additional information to that question?
Well, I could respond. Andrew, I didn't get your last name? Uch. Thanks. I really appreciate you coming and bringing that up. And I think all of us are kind of on the same page, and I think that's what is a partial motivation, at least for all of us, to be here on this committee. And your timing is good because, and I think Sanjay is going to report on it later in the meeting, that the city is going to be developing an active transportation plan that addresses exactly what you're bringing up. And I imagine that, I'm sure that active transportation plan that the city puts together is going to jive with the countywide bike ped plan, which I don't know if that's being updated now or not, but both of those are addressing specifically what you bring up. But you can't say it enough times because so I appreciate every time people come in and advocate for that.
Okay, just to add to Mr. Moriarty's comments, city has hired a consultant to complete the active transportation plan. And if you actually watch our last TAPS meeting, where we provided a status report and a presentation for the active transportation plan details, but it is just starting. So city is going to have some public workshops and public comments, and those are the times I would encourage you to participate in that and provide your comments regarding where you think it would be most valuable to have those bike lanes, and we will capture those comments and future projects would implement whenever it comes through. So yes, that would be helpful.
We have a phone comment.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. There's an online comment. I can't see.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Yes, my name is Anthony, representing the Pinole citizens, taxpayers of Pinole, concerned citizens. I was wondering your comments a while back on doing some work improvements on the street markings or painting, stripings on Shea and Sarah Drive. I don't know if any of you and or any of the public work managers or supervisors goes through there to do like a follow-up sign-off on the work job assignments by Public Works or the contractors you hire to do that. Because if you go through there, it's kind of an abomination. You know, you got some speed bumps and they're using these skinny white Sharrow arrows now that are smaller than the bike path Sharrows that I've never seen anywhere used before. Unlike other cities, they use wide, bold, bright Sharrows to on the speed bumps. And what they did, they eradicated all the yellow Dayglow paint stripes on the speed bumps by black tar paint. It's really a Mickey Mouse job. And then they write the word stop, but they don't put the demarcation lines. And then there's several spots around Sarah where you said you did crosswalk work. There was no crosswalk work there. And then they did the crosswalk work down there by I-80, or Caltrans did that at the interchange by Jack in the Box. And it's two narrow white strips of crosswalks from the Jack in the Box side to the other corner near the Mechanics Bank side that they redid. And so who dictates the colors, the width and type, and does any checks on the quality of work after the job's done? If any, if not, maybe one of the commissioners can rotate it on a revolving basis to go and see what's actually being done or not done out there with our tax dollars. The street lights, again, are still out. We have street light outages up and down Pinole Valley Road, several in the medium strip. That's light bulbs. And Mr. Mishra said it takes a $50 to $100 light bulb to be changed, and it's not a problem. and several of them haven't been changed out, all the way up to Mod's Pizza Pinole Shopping Center. And also the street lights are still out on Adobe Road at the turnabout court and the adjacent walkway through the barbecue grove. There's one or two lamp posts that the street lights are out, the lamp posts are out in that park. And so seems to be a double or a triple standard of what you say and what's actually being done out there for the general public. And the trees and the bushes are still obstructing several street signs all throughout the city and along Pinole Valley Road that need to be trimmed back by Public Works Department, as well as that big brick crossover bridge on Appian Way has that big aluminum structure there, which is a patch job, and that's been there for several years now. And it's not only an eyesore, it's a safety hazard on the Appian Way I-80 bridge there that's been not replaced or repaired or patched correctly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dave, is there any more comments? Okay, there are no more public comments. Moving on to item number 6, traffic and pedestrian safety issues. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So there is one email received last week regarding the drivers don't stop at the stop sign at Dodge and Victor intersection, and the resident requested to add speed bumps. If there is any discussion need to happen between committee members, the only thing I can say here is that as our traffic calming policy says that for requesting a speed bump, there has to be a consensus among the neighbors and a signatory number of, I believe it's about 65% of the people should say that they are agreeable for a speed bump. Then it has to go through a review process and council has to approve those speed bumps. But for this location, I haven't reviewed this location myself to see what other improvements can be done to just to enhance the visibility of this. So that's that I will do as the operation and maintenance issue.
Thank you. I have a comment on this. I read the email. Thank you for your email. I would recommend that this email be forwarded to the police department. It seems like enforcement might have a quick and easy impact on the violations occurring here. And I know the police department is understaffed at certain times, but other times they have some discretionary ability to do enforcement or put this radar sign out there or just put a police car out there. So I would recommend that is the first and probably lowest hanging fruit option is that we ask the police department for help in enforcing or doing education there. Thank you.
I had a question. Just, I guess it's kind of a traffic engineering question. I was looking at this intersection just on the map, and I see that at Doage and Victor, there's a three-way stop. But then for the person going down the hill, the next intersection is also a T, Doage and Madera, but there isn't a stop. And then the next intersection is a three-way, and there is a stop. And I was just wondering how you know when to put a stop at a T intersection and when not to. And I wondered if some of the people not taking the stop sign seriously is because it's inconsistent, and there's exactly the same intersection 100 yards down the road or something like that, and there's not a stop. So I don't think so. I don't see it on the.
It definitely has to do with the volume of traffic and visibility,
Uh-huh.
and that's why the stop would have been provided at Doyce and Victor. Uh, and I don't have any data to actually comment on that. Actually, on Madeira there is a stop. The
There
only
is?
location, but it is no stop on Deutsch.
Yeah.
Usually the side streets should have a, but for some reason Victor might have traffic or a visibility issue, which I'm not sure. Looking at mm, the map, I can't say. But I know we have similar issues on Wright Avenue where people do not stop at the stop signs. And if you remember previously, it was one of our items in the list. I'm working to provide some of improvements and at Wright and Carroll. That's the number 3. If you see in our list of traffic issues discussed in status, so that's where I'm working to provide a enhanced stop sign with LED blinking lights and just to make it more visible. And it's a very similar location. And if that would help, we can we can do couple of enforcement and try similar measures later. That would be my suggestion.
It seems like the issue is not just not stopping. When I read the letters, it's speeding as well. And I guess, I mean, it's the same people, the people that live up the hill from that intersection are the ones that use it over and over. So it's not like people aren't aware of a stop sign
Yeah, yeah.
or the speed limit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the issue everywhere. I mean, it's the same people, resident, they're living. It's not somebody coming outside of town and blowing past that. So
So Sanjay, did you say you'd be able to go to this particular intersection and just check it out, excuse me, to see if there's any other recommendations you might make as a traffic
Yes.
engineer?
yes, I would do that. Yes,
Thank you.
I would add this as I'm adding to all my list as a traffic issues discussed here, and I'll provide update what I looked at. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the table that I have here. So I do not have any significant update except I know there have been requests for item number 7, faded striping all over the city, but for the last few weeks, actually, city crew has been striping and around Saya and Hoke Street and probably some of the other locations on Pinole Valley Road. But I don't know. I mean, I see that one of the public comments said that as if it is not up to standard. I'll have to verify. I haven't seen myself. But most of the traffic signs follows MUTCD code, the widths and all. There is a standard for that, and there are a couple of variations of that, but that is still controlled by the MUTCD code. So I don't think we should be doing anything which is not in the code, but I'll verify that. But that item has been addressed, but it's not over. It's a lot of places in the city. So in the last 2 to 3 weeks, city crew actually has done a lot of striping around the city. So. And as you may see, I just added this line item 19 under item 6 with Deutsch and Victor's stop sign, and I will update further once I do my review. Are there any questions on item 6 or discussions?
Thank you for the update on the improvements going on, and I do agree that number 6 under item 6 about the southbound double left turn lane at Pinole Valley Road is, appears to be marked in accordance with the MUTCD guidelines, and it is a Caltrans intersection, so I would recommend that we take it off of our list, since it's not a city-controlled area, and under appearance, it looks to be signed and striped properly.
Okay, thank you.
How, what's the process? I've seen now there's 2 speed bump issues on the list. What's the process for collecting the number of signatures for a speed bump? Is the person who filed, let the committee know about the issue supposed to do that, or, can we give some direction?
Yeah, I mean, for the traffic calming policy, the neighbors there have to be agreeable. 65% of the neighbors have to be agreeable for the speed bump. And but there has been confusion regarding, okay, how much of 65%? I live in Dodge. Do you want me from the beginning to the end of Dodge? That kind of has come to my attention. And same thing at McDonald Drive also, a resident has come, okay, tell me, I need one speed bump here. How many residents should I go? There is nothing a clear definition there in the policy, but I think I'm going to review that one myself and provide those specific people. This is what I think, so many blocks from the location where we're going to put from either direction, and I'm going to provide them those guidelines. That's what I'm thinking right now. But there is no, in the policy, there's nothing there.
And then at that point, it's up to them to collect the signatures?
That's right.
Okay.
And after they collect the signatures, then it has to be approved by council. So then only they will get that. So
And is there an official form, or they just use like?
there is a form in the policy itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we put that in the minutes too?
Yeah.
Like a
I mean, it is the policy itself
Uh-huh.
has the form for signature and all that.
I just don't know if the public's gonna
Oh, I see.
dig very
You
well.
want to separate out the form and just put it up front?
Yeah, just anything we can do to let them know where it is, make it easy.
Okay.
And Sanjay, it looks like number 10 is a similar request about the on-ramp, eastbound on-ramp from Pinole Valley Road to 80. I would recommend that that is a Caltrans problem and not a city problem. And I don't know what the process is for taking items off of this list, but I recommend that those 2 be removed if we need a second or not, or if it's your discretion to keep them on there or not. But that's
Okay.
my recommendation.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I mean, it's Caltrans right of way, but we have some say. We can just ask whenever their project is coming on if they're going to consider this. But usually these projects are very large scale, and they will be the one to be talking to us. So yeah, it's up to the committee's discretion if they want to keep it or remove it, or just say that it's all Caltrans' responsibility and we don't want to be able to do much about that. But as the city engineer, I do get confirmations from Caltrans whenever they're going to do project. They ask for our advice and our comments. So if everything ever it comes up again, I will be able to advise the committee on that.
Okay, thank you. And my motivation is just that we're up to 19 and now maybe 20 items on this list, and it's going to be a lot for us to try and keep
Understood.
going and keep track of. So that's kind of my motivation. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, if the chair would like to suggest that should I remove these items, or the committee can vote on that, or
Could I recommend that we just have a single line item for things that Caltrans needs to approve, and just we add to that list, but it's a single line item.
Okay,
Say, hey, if Caltrans ever asks our advice, this is the things the citizens here have requested.
okay, I can do that. And separate that from this list. I'll just have it. Okay.
Yeah.
Caltrans list, yes, I can do this. Okay. Is there anything else to discuss on item number 6? Nope. Okay. Next slide, please. Staff updates. So there are two current projects that we are working on for which is of interest to the TAPS. Those are APNY and Marlesta Road intersection. As I previously updated, the contractor has not been able to procure those traffic signals yet. The date was end of this month. I will most likely update in the September month where we are on that project. And Pinole Valley Road Improvement Project design is ongoing. I believe I sent out the I think the 70% design to the committee before. This was for not for the not for the locations we talked, but the project beyond that, which I had sent out. So we are working on that project and finalizing that. The current status is it seems like the project cost is going to be double what we expected, because after we had a meeting with the Ellerhurst school, as we discussed here that we'll be talking to them. So we spoke to them, and after that discussion, seems that if we have to keep the parking and have the bike lane and all that, we have to go beyond our existing roadway width. That would require some significant work for the bios wells, some retaining walls, and all that. So the current budget what we have most likely is not, estimate what we did is not going to be enough. So we have to have phase 1 and phase 2. That's what I was just talking to Misha before, and we're going to be bringing it to council later. So we're going to break those projects, and only one project can be funded with what we have current funds. So we're most likely going to advertise part of the project, which will have full bike lanes. That's what the designed for, where we have the currently enough adequate right of way.
So just for the original, so phase 1, I guess, which would be fit within the original budget, there are places where initially there was a desire to have parking and a bike lane, but the road's not wide enough. So what's there going to be, parking or the bike lane?
There where we have to widen the road so that we can have both.
But in those, phase 1 includes not widening the road.
No, the phase 1 is actually what the way we're trying to divide the phase is a section of the say from the city limit to one particular, say, Savage.
Okay.
That's all we have the funding where we can provide bike lane. But from Savage to until the rest of where we actually until the school, that portion we can't do right now. We'll have to hold off until we can get the funding. So that's the idea.
Okay, so you're keeping the bike lane and the parking, but you're just doing a smaller section.
Suction, yes,
Okay.
yes. So, okay. So that's all I have for this. There's a public comment? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Hello?
can.
Hi, my name is Rafael Menes.
Go ahead.
I got two people on the line.
So-
I think Tony was talking earlier, unless there's multiple, unless you also wanted to comment on this item?
No, Mr. Menes, you can go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Rafael Menes. I'm a resident of Pinole, and I just had a question. It sounded like a lot of discussion just now was around adjustments for the Pinole Valley Road bike lane timeline, because the road would need to be expanded at some point to fit bike lanes and also additionally parking. And I didn't catch as much about the Appian and Marlesta stoplight intersection. Is that being postponed in order to provide?
Good answer then. Okay. Mr. Menes, it's not postponed. It is just for the Appian Way and Marlesta Road intersection project. It is the contractor is unable to procure. The procurement time for the traffic lights is taking huge time, but the project is still on. It is just waiting for the traffic lights to be procured, and the timeline was actually by end of August. So we are still waiting for the lights.
Okay, so it's just a timeline issue rather than an increased scope of work issue for that one, at
Yeah.
least right now. Thanks.
Okay. Dave? Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I would like to comment on the agendized items, two items, that is, with your comments regarding Caltrans and what they can and cannot do. I don't know if it's that clear cut, but from what I remember or understand, you know, it's like any other thing in dealings with Caltrans. It may take an army sometimes to get things rolling or started, or better said, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So therefore, I wouldn't quickly decide, shame on some commissioners, to take some of these items off the working list that you have, Mr. Director Mishra, because those two items severely affect the traffic calming, the traffic congestion, and the traffic situation all throughout our main thoroughfare. Right now, we're talking about Pinole Valley Road. Case in point, the widening of Pinole Valley Road, possibly right by or below the Jack in the Box, for a widened on-ramp access, whether they cut 2 lanes in or leave it at 1 lane, but they need a wider lane access after Jack in the Box to be cut away where the Welcome to Pinole sign is. And the second on-ramp lane would be very helpful, as well as the left turn down the center underneath the I-80 overpass. The striping on the left turns can be reworked with the timing and queuing of the street lights for people that want to go straight through town, past Sprouts and the Kaiser area, as well as people that are trying to access I-80 in the morning and the evening and busy times throughout the day. It's really a mess there, and it takes a lot of maneuvering for people to crisscross from one lane to the other, trying to read the arrows that are all faded out on the street and what have you. And my suggestion is to put a double arrow moving forward on the queuing of the lights as well. And the last item I wanted to mention is that I think there's somewhat of a double standard going on, because it seems that the TAPS commissioners and the director, Mishra, seem to treat different people different ways. That is, case in point, if you show up live in a hybrid meeting, you get somebody's attention, okay? You get a response, okay? and if you're a commissioner and you bring it up, you get the attention of the director, or you get a response. Or if you write a letter to the city before the meeting, you get a direct response, and you get on Mr. Mishra's to-do work list. But you take people like myself and people that represent other people that phone in, we get cut off. In other words, we don't hardly get responded to by any of the commissioners, because they either want to go home, they don't know the answer, or they're afraid to confront Mr. Mishra, the director of the TAPS committee. And that's not what the TAPS committee was formed for and represented. And I've been to a few meetings live in the old days, but I think you should address that question and issue as well. Thank you.
Okay, there's any discussion or any comments on this?
Yeah, I would just say that all the TAPS committee members are residents like yourself. We're volunteers, and we're trying to help the city address everybody's issues. And so there's any ideas anyone presents here, there's no shame in any of that. And there's definitely, no one's working against any citizens' concerns. We have no motivation to be here except for to help and to hear you. So please keep that in mind. We are here to help, and if you find that you are seeing better responses with other forms of input, I would suggest that maybe try one of those, write a well-composed letter or email ahead of time and see if that gets your concerns addressed better. But we are here to listen to you, and we are listening to you now. So thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you. Development projects. There are only one development project which is currently under review by the planning department. That is the 2550 APN Way commercial square footage addition at the lower level of the existing building. If you would like to review and make your comments to the planning commission, and the link is provided in the agenda packet. So, is there any discussion and comments on that?
I have one comment. I'm not sure if this is the right spot to talk about it, development project, but the building project that's going on San Pablo Avenue by the gas station and the pet hospital, we regularly have looks like construction workers jaywalking back and forth across Pinole Valley, San Pablo Avenue. And if I would recommend or ask that you maybe send an email to the foreman or the person responsible to ask them to try and use the sidewalk for everybody's safety. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, can I just add to that? I think that in that 3-block stretch, there's only one crosswalk. So especially with a bunch of new residents that are going to be there soon, we might need to look into future crosswalks for the increased pedestrian traffic across that street too, because it's kind of a hill too, so visibility is short. You can, depending on parked cars, you can see maybe a block.
Okay, I'll take a note of that. I'm sure, I believe you are referring to probably the Vista Woods project, right? Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Is it the Vista Woods project? Okay, yeah.
It's possible that as part of the planning approval process that they are required to, that might already have been addressed.
Yeah, I
None of
believe
us know
that a
what's in
traffic
there.
study must have been done and that must be in play, but I don't know what was the project is not complete. If they would have recommended it crosswalk, it will be done. But yeah, I'll verify that. Thank you. So, item number 7, active transportation plan. There is no further updates to what we provided the last time and the last month, but the consultant is still working on the existing conditions summary. Once they complete those reports, then we will plan for a public meeting which will be advertised, and then we can go from there. I'll provide more updates once we have them on this. I have no update for the grants for this time. That comes to end of item number 7. Item number 8, future agenda items. If committee members have any requests for future agenda items.
Yeah, I think the sidewalks on 4th Street should be looked at.
And I second that as a future agenda item. That way we can go out and take a look at it and come back next month or whenever you decide to present. We can have more background information on it.
Okay.
And you're talking about the section between Marlesta and San Pablo Avenue?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just have the roll call. Okay. Member Doyle.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Member Dunham Sims. Member Moriarty.
Yes.
Member Collins.
Aye.
Thank you.
I had a question about future agenda items. You were talking about, we were talking about this process of people collecting signatures for speed bumps, and that then goes to council. I know a job of this group is to kind of look at these detailed traffic issues and then make a recommendation to council. So I guess my question is that how it would be?
Yeah. I mean, for this future agenda items, for these locations, what is suggested now, I will do a review, and all of the committee members can do a review, and then you can recommend, say if there is no sidewalk right now, then we can recommend a TAPS committee recommendation to the council. I will provide the engineering support for, say, hey, this is the cost estimate for this, and then we can ask council to add to a future project or somehow, however you want it.
Okay.
It's committee members' discretion.
Okay. I was asking about the speed bumps. We were talking about how signatures are collected for speed bumps and that would then go to council. But I didn't hear you say that would come to TAPS and we would make a recommendation. It sounded like that whole speed bump process would go straight from the signature collecting phase straight to council, and that TAPS wouldn't have any involvement. Is that true?
I have to really look through the policy, the traffic calming policy, again to confirm that, but that's just my recollection that is how it was.
Okay, because that seems one area we've been historically weak on. Is officially what we're supposed to do is look at traffic issues in detail so council doesn't have to, and then make recommendations to council, but it's been very infrequent that that's ever happened. And so something like speed bumps, that seems like a perfect opportunity for that to function that way.
Yeah, I mean, here is a generic flow chart, but there's for any traffic calming request. There's a field review by staff. There's increased enforcement, meeting with the traffic committee, which would be TAPS, neighborhood action and education, petitions submitted for engineering study, engineering analysis, review by traffic committee and public, petitions submitted for implementation of traffic calming measure, review and approval by city council. Then it says engineering plans prepared, engineering plans reviewed by traffic committee. So this is for generic flow chart.
I want to say that in the past, when we've had folks go through the speed bump process, it also involved Pinole PD and then putting the stealth monitor out and, looking at statistics and everything, to support the idea that the speed bump is warranted and that it would be effective and it would really be helping what they wanted to help and not creating all other kinds of problems.
That is correct. When I was reviewing the proposal for Wright and Carroll to provide that, so I actually consulted with our PD as well as fire. Fire does not like speed bumps. So I had to specifically ask if that route is okay for us to actually provide that speed bump, and they had okayed. But I haven't gotten confirmation from the residents yet. So that's where I'm just waiting. So, yeah. Okay. Okay. Moving on to the next item. That would be item number 9. Chair may adjourn the meeting.
Let's adjourn the meeting. We'll return on September 13th, 2023 at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.